So hello, welcome to another Indypod Extra. We're looking behind the scenes of Scottish Independence podcast. And This was a chat that we had with Laura Pollock from The National, but about the podcast itself. So a little glimpse behind the scenes with us.
When was it you started?
Fiona and I have been working together for a bit, but the very first programme we put out for a Scottish Independence podcast, that was it March last year?
It was January 22 we started with the video stuff, because before then we'd been pure podcasters. And originally we were doing stuff for the radio, but we reckon that podcasting was where we were getting our biggest audience, and it's building up, and it's still where we get our biggest audience, and it's still increasing, so we're really pleased with that. But because we're sort of got one foot in the Independence Live world, we're very friendly with Kevin, who runs Independence Live, and he was starting to put a lot more video shows on his YouTube channel. So he was asking, has anybody else got anything that can put up? And we said, well, we could do a video version of some of the stuff we're doing as podcasts, not having a clue about anything. At that point, how hard can it be, we thought, and as it turns out, it is quite hard. But,
it's really hard. I mean, I'd been doing a bit of I'd certainly got used to using Zoom during COVID,
lockdown,
but could use it in the lockdown, using Zoom to do interviews for the radio. But that meant we also had video, you have the Zoom video as well, even though you're maybe doing it more for audio. So I'd kind of got used to the techie bit of behind the scenes for that, running it from this room that I'm sitting in, which is our spare bedroom. So kind of knew a bit about it. But then Kevin introduced us to this online studio, StreamYard. And I mean, Zoom's okay, but this is just really good for what we want to do. It's so much better. I mean, you can see how you can play around with it, put your own background in and your own sort of marketing, branding and stuff. So so that started up January last year.
We do one every month. We've just done number 17, and then we do other stuff for our channel as well.
Maybe's idea was, let's cover the topics that we think, if someone's a bit swithering, and let's do something that will give them good information about these kind of topics and maybe help change someone's minds. To begin with, we were maybe getting video from a Yes group, and then we'd put it into context. Do that quite a lot, but more recently, certainly last more than 6 months, it's more that Fiona and I have been interviewing people, so it's a bit of a mixture like that. We quite like talking to the people from Commonweal, because they've got such good ideas, and they're so focused on how to build up a really kind of forward looking nation. A video plus a podcast where we think, well, average is about 1,000 views. So we know that's not huge, but from my point of view, at any rate, that's really worthwhile doing.
Yeah, and we've got a podcast out every Friday. So there's an audio every Friday on any podcast, Apple, Spotify, whatever, you get it wherever. And then we've got the monthly video, and then we supplement it, like the conversation we've just had today. That'll go on our Independence podcast, Indypod Extra. So it's the idea that we're primarily audio, but if we've got a bit of video it's worth seeing, we'll put that in there as well, and then people get to see two places. But what we're trying to do more of just now is get better at doing outside filming broadcasts, because we're terrible at it, really. And it's experience, and it's understanding the skills, and it's having the equipment, and sitting here doing this and editing it afterwards is easy peasy, but going out into the field or out and trying to get somebody a lapel mic and do everything else is a real learning curve for us. But it's good fun. It's great fun. We wouldn't do it if it wasn't fun.
Yeah, it's true. And then the other thing we thought of fairly early on as well was that, I mean, there's basically the three of us, myself and Fiona, and a chap called Steve, who's much more the techie background. He's an IT expert, and he's been really, really good at helping us set up things. So we thought, well, we should have our own website. Then we can send out specific links to that and put a bit of commentary, or whatever, text commentary. So it's a bit of a job, because you're thinking, okay, well, set that up to tweet to Twitter and stick that run around various Yes groups on Facebook, and just always trying to be thinking of ways to kind of increase the visibility. So to that end, Fiona got us going on where you do the wee
TikTok.
TikTok.
Oh God, we're about 100 years too old to be doing TikTok.
No, do you know, I don't have it, and I downloaded it because when I first started this job, and because people were using it there, and again I was like, I don't know.
I know. I got rid of it on my phone because I can't bear it. You put it on, always get this noise and things coming at you. But what we found was very quickly, with no effort at all, we had suddenly 2,000 followers, and we there was some of the things we put up that are really short and quite rough. That's what it's looking for. It's not edited or anything very well, and we were getting thousands of views on some of them.
Yeah,
and we thought, this is, and it's reaching a demographic that we're not reaching through YouTube or through our podcast. So we've kind of, I mean, I forget about it, but every now and again we remember and put something on it. And I have to say, I do cast an eye down the kind of comments and the conversation that, the things they say to each other. Some of it's horrible. And I just go through and block people if they say anything that's offensive. I don't police the whole thing because I haven't got time.
You can't police the whole thing, but definitely.
But then somebody, it was John Robertson, asked us out if we got a lot of abuse. None at all. The worst that we get is somebody might put a comment underneath a video that says something like, you'll never get independent, something stupid, and I just go delete, and that's give it no more mind, but nothing personal ever. I suppose we're just not important enough, maybe.
I also don't think there's so many people on platforms in independence circles that are quite controversial, or they even are sometimes themselves, and so I don't think either of you are controversial, so I think that lends itself to not receiving abuse.
Well, that was what we set out to be, was to be non-confrontational and to talk about things that we were interested in and that we thought other people might be interested in, but without criticizing them if they disagree, and maybe looking at different perspectives but also putting across ours, and that is the way we've done it. And we do have some nice feedback from people that they quite like the interaction between us, which is funny because I never think there is any real interaction between us. We just sort of introduce it and off we go, somebody else comes on, but apparently there's enough that people
I remember I think it was I remember going, it was your roundup that you do of and it was I can't remember, I think it might have been Supreme Court time or so. But either way, it was like a roundup, and it was you two talking about and then there was Republican. It was talking about the Greens and the Republic conversation. And with Maggie Chapman and things. And you two do.
We quite enjoy doing that kind of thing, actually. So we kind of got into it, and I suppose I sort of think, well, I go out. I am in Pensioners for Indy, and I occasionally will go out on stalls with them because in Glasgow there's one, at least 3 a week. Actually, you could kind of go to sort of and do it. That sort of puts me a little bit out of my comfort zone. But I will go and do it because, it's good to do that, really. I'm fine once I start chatting to someone, but I just kind of, do find it hard to kind of make the initial contact. But anyway, do it a wee bit. But doing something like, the podcast, I enjoy the technical side of it. And actually, I do enjoy talking to people about these things. So it's great. From my point of view, it's great. And I know people have tried setting up online radio programs and other ways of getting it out, but with my limited experience, podcasting's much, much more effective way of reaching people than some of the other online options. So I
think it is. I like listening to podcasts as well. This is just how our comfort zone, the thing we were doing. We were there, we said, right, we'll live stream it, we'll video it, and we'll record it, and we'll come up with a podcast, we'll have a live stream, and we'll have a video at the end. We get there, I'm positioned at the front, at the side, Marlene's at the front. The first thing that they do is they say, we've got slides, are you okay if we put the lights off? And everybody goes, yeah, put the lights off. So suddenly we're trying to video something and you can't see anything. And then they have an audience Q&A. So we'll not use the mic, it'll be fine, we'll just chat. So we didn't get audio either. So And it's just because we didn't have the confidence to go, no, we need the lights on.
Yeah.
We'll have to use the microphone.
That's it, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So we're going to be doing another meeting next month. I was just saying to Fiona, okay, we need a tick list, and I'll send it down to them when I set it up and say, this is what we need.
Yeah.
If you do that, we'll come. If you can't do that, we're not coming, really.
So good. So good.
Yeah.
But what's really nice, though, and because we've been doing it a year and a half, really, under the Scottish Independence podcast branding. At first, we were going to people and asking them if they wouldn't mind, being guests. And now we get people approaching us saying, here's something you might be interested in. Somebody got in touch and said, as a consumer, I want to know about this. So we went, okay, we'll go. Which I thought that's a really good sign, though, because if people are actually, it must mean that A, they know about us, and B, they quite like what we're doing. And if they're coming to us, it makes it a lot easier for us because we're not having to go and find them.
What's the plan for the summer?
Well, originally, when we thought there was going to be a referendum in October.
Well, that's why I took this job. And then when that didn't happen, I thought,
I know, you kind of think, what now?
Yeah.
But, so I think we sort of mentally thought, well, we'll prepare the way from here to there with all the facts we think people might want to know. And we had a list of them that we were going to cover. As soon as it turned out that wasn't going to be things, all right, well, we're quite liking what we're doing. Well, we just took the pressure off in a way. We'll just carry on trying to build up the channel, trying to build up the readership, trying to build up the mailing list, trying to build up Twitter and the Mastodon and the TikTok. Because that way, when something does happen, we've got all these channels that we can get information out. So we're still sort of thinking that's roughly the game plan.
Yeah, and we kind of have a growing mail list as well, and they get sent a couple of mail shots in a month, so it keeps them in touch with what we've been doing. Done a couple of interviews, quite long interviews about Scottish Constitution, and I think towards the end of the year there's probably scope for doing another one of those, sort of an update on it, now that it's been picked up a bit more, by Humza Yousaf and that SNP conference. So, I think there's something for that. For ages, I've wanted to do one about a basic income. And I've got some email contacts to kind of follow up with that. So that's another sort of possibility. And all of those, they kind of maybe tie back to what we mentioned, earlier when we were talking to you about. Someone may not be immediately see the relevance of it, what it might be living in an independent Scotland to them compared to being part of the UK. But if you start talking about basic income and you start showing, what's possible and what isn't, if you've got the kind of government that's prepared to go in that direction, then all of that's just a way of drawing people in, I think. So I'm usually on the lookout for topics like that and seeing if we can follow up, and I suppose the other ones that we've done is looked at where people have still got fears left over. I mean, currency is an obvious one, although I think
EU EFTA
that's kind of subsided a bit. It's pretty obvious that we're going to have our own currency, and there's the whole debate about EU and EFTA, which it's actually not that hard to. Well, it is actually quite hard to get your head around it, but we've had the advantage of talking to Kirsty Hughes about it a couple of times, so I kind of got that in my head. But other things like we talked to a lady who lives near the border, and she was just brilliant about the opportunities that there'd be for Scottish borders. Not that it's going to be an awful thing, but the opportunities that will be there. So all of those sorts of that sort of approach, I suppose that's more of an approach than specific topics that we might pick up, but that's what we try and do basically.
There you go, we've created it.
We've created something already.
Well, this has been so good, and thank you so much. It was a good time.
It's great. Nice to talk to you. So there you have it. You know what we got up to, you know a bit about why we got up to it, and you know a bit about how successful the Scottish Independence podcast channel is being.
Thanks to everybody who listens, who subscribes, who watches our videos. We really appreciate it and hope you enjoy it too.
Yes. If you haven't already, please sign up to a mailing list, use the website, listen to the podcast, and in particular, share it round your own social media contacts. That'd be so helpful.
That really
But we
helps.
hope you've enjoyed it. We've enjoyed telling you about it.